next guest was one of the big winners at UFC 316 this past weekend, getting a dominant win over Patchy Mix. Of course, I'm talking to Mario Bautista here. Mario, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me.
Yes, good to talk to you after such a big win here. Where am I getting you today, by the way? You going to practice? Are you going to do errands? You being a dad? What are you up to right now?
Today I had to stop by the gym and we did a little podcast for John Crouch here at
Oh, nice.
so I came here and then I just decided, oh, I might as well hang out because it's a 30-minute drive back home. So
No. And
I'd
listen,
be
full
driving.
marks for the car. It's quiet. Just hope your phone doesn't overheat. Hopefully, you got some air conditioning on in there. But yeah, other than that, it's a good spot to do an interview. Again, congrats on the win, man. Was this a bigger win for you than beating Aldo in the sense that this was a dominant victory?
Yeah, because we all know how good Patchy is. Like these diehard fans, like even myself, like I knew how good Patchy is, and what he's coming off a 7 fight win streak as well. 3-time world champion over at Bellator. He's beaten some good names, Horiguchi, and Sergio Pettis, Stotts. You know, he knocked out with that knee, so he had a lot of good wins and a lot of hype behind him. So definitely my biggest win.
I'm sure you heard the comments post fight. Like, I know you're not a big like social media guy, but did you hear some of the things he was saying, like in Embedded, where he's like, "I'm gonna run through this guy," and then he's talking about choking out Merab and all this. Like, did you hear any of that going in?
Yeah, no, definitely when you're on fight week, you know, you kind of have to get on social media a little bit more. So you see all these things, you know, you're tagged in all these things. And yeah, I'm gonna submit him and everyone and his whole crew and his coach and I'm looking through him, this and that. So yeah, I seen all of it throughout fight week.
Yeah, did that give you a little bit of an extra motivation? Because I know you've had obviously opponents before that would talk trash, but this seemed like another level, and obviously there was a lot of pressure on him to perform too.
Definitely throughout fight week. No, I didn't let it get to me because like it's just a waste of energy. You know,
Mhm.
there's so many things I got to do before I even get to the fight. One, I got to make the weight. I got to do these practices. I have to burn these calories, this and that. So I didn't really let it get to me. And then, but once we got into the cage, like it's just different. You know, now I get to do something about it. Now, whatever you want to say, we could figure it out. We could handle it here. So I felt good coming in. I felt excited. I walked into that cage and just man, it just felt so good to be there once again, and I was just so excited to perform.
Yeah, and you know, it's right off the bat, you set the tone early. You came in there, you were striking with them right off the bat. I'm assuming that was the plan, to be the aggressor, kind of take him out of his element a little bit. What was the game plan going in?
Exactly that, you know, keep it standing, keep my foot movement going, just so he wouldn't get a shot. You know, kind of use that as my wrestling defense. And yeah, I said it before the fight, like I just have better footwork, and that was going to be a big thing because we went off that Magomed fight that he had last, and we seen some holes in that. So we built our game plan around that, and man, it worked out perfect.
Yeah, it certainly did. I know you guys study your opponents very well. Was there any surprises in the fight? Like, again, you've watched some of his past fights. I think we can say this without not taking credit away from you. He did look a little off, but that doesn't mean that you were, I mean, you fought the perfect fight. Like, you really did take it to him, and he wasn't really ever able to get going in the fight at all.
Yeah, no, I wasn't really surprised. You know, I went in there and did exactly what I was supposed to do and flustered him. I seen it in my mind like 1,000 times how that fight was gonna go, and it went exactly just like that. You know, so but the whole time I definitely respected his ground game and his submissions. You know, I didn't want to make a mistake and get caught in something. So the whole time I was just, you know, ready for the shot, you know, ready for the shot, keep moving, and never let my feet plant, and I never let him push me against the cage where most of his takedown finishes come from. So you know, I did a good job. You know, I beat a world champion. I beat, you know, highly touted, you know, champion from another organization, and it was a really good win, a really good performance too.
At what point did you know I got him? Like, or did you ever have that point in the fight? Because again, I know it did go the distance, but I'm sure you also thought like, he's not getting me with anything here.
Yeah, I want to say probably mm, a few minutes into the first round, like
Mm.
once I set the tempo, I found my range. Um, that's where I kind of knew, like, okay, if I keep this up, I'm gonna win. There's he's not doing anything that's yeah, I'm not gonna get tired, you
Mm.
know, so he's not gonna catch up to me. And he's not finding his timing. So I probably in halfway to the first round, I figured I was gonna win.
Yeah, and I know we talked about this before the fight as well too, but like the only guy to submit you, I think, was Corey Sandhagen in that short notice debut you had. Like you had to be thinking of that too, where this is a guy that's used to submitting his opponents, and if he's not able to do that, what's the game plan going to be? Because obviously you were the better striker in that spot.
Yeah, 100%, and that's like when you come into these fights like sort of like a specialist and you
Yep.
have, kind of like one way to win really, you kind of limit yourself, no matter how good you are. All I have to do is just be better at you that my takedown defense has to be better than your takedown offense and that I avoid that situation completely. So, yeah, it's very limiting and my whole career I built myself like I want to be versatile. I want to be able to do everything. I want to be able to adjust to different opponents coming in. If I fight like a better striker, okay, I'm gonna have a wrestling plan. If I fight a submission artist or a good grappler, then I'm gonna work on my striking and footwork. So I'm definitely proud of myself, for having that mindset all these years, and it paid off Saturday.
Now, refresh my memory. Did he acknowledge you after the fight? Did you guys talk at all after the fight was over, or was it just like you went and did media and you haven't seen him since?
No, I seen him back at the hotel. I went up and shook his hand, and he said respect. I respect you and your team, and this and that, and pretty much said like, it was all for, uh,
The show and
to
stuff. Yeah.
promote the fight.
Yeah.
Exactly, and then he really respected us, and I said likewise. Like we have guys that fight for Bellator and the PFL. Like we've watched you fight. I like watching you fight. I was a big fan, and still am. And even my team, my coaches, hey man, this Patchy kid's pretty good. Um, so for me to fight him and get that win over him, man, it was a crazy experience.
Do you think he said anything that crossed the line a little bit? I think he did make a comment, I think, about like running through you. I think that's, there's nothing wrong with being confident and saying you're going to win a fight, but that was a little much, I thought. I don't know. What did you think of that?
Um, no, no, I didn't think it was much. If you stick to, talking about the fight, talking about the opponent, like have at it. I don't
Yeah.
I don't care. I got thick skin, and like I
Yeah.
said, once I get my chance in the cage, I could punch you in the mouth for it. But no, I don't think he overstepped on anything. Once you start talking about like families and you start
Yeah.
talking about
Yeah. Of course.
a
Yeah.
culture and stuff like that, oh, that's 100%. Yeah, I'm not even going to shake your hand at all. So no, I think he had to do what he had to do to promote himself and sell himself. If he did win, there'd be talks about him fighting Merab or fighting for the title. So,
That's the other thing. Yeah. I
yeah,
know. Yeah. That's crazy to think. Do you think he overlooked you in the fight at all? I know that might seem like an obvious question, but do you believe that he did?
I don't think so. I think he knew what type of fight he was getting into. I think, like I said, I think he had to say what he had to promote himself. But deep down inside, like when we do our face offs and I would look at him, I just knew deep down inside, like, man, he was thinking like this is going to be a tough fight, and I don't know if it's going to work out for me. I feel like I can just kind of sense that in people, So
Okay.
it just gave me confidence every time we faced off. Like, man, this dude, I don't know, he's just talking. If dudes talk a lot more, uh, I feel like something else. They're you know
Got like a sixth sense.
compensating for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're compensating for something else. Like something's going on. I'm over here cool, calm, and collected.
Yeah.
We're gonna fight. We'll figure it out. I don't have to talk.
Yeah, no, no, for sure. Does that work with lottery tickets? Like you should go there and be like, "Is this going to be a winning ticket or something like that?" No, nothing like that. I get one
I
dad joke
wish,
this
right?
interview, Mario. I got it in, so that's all that matters. Um, what would happen with the mic? That was really dumb, in my opinion, that you didn't get a post-fight interview, especially one of the biggest wins of your career. Did the UFC or anyone say anything about that? Because I think people looked at that being like, "Why is he not getting this?" Because Patchy would have got an interview.
100%, he would have got an interview. He would have cut a great promo, I'm sure. But yeah, I didn't get an interview, and also in the back, they didn't even tell me why. They didn't even say like, "Hey, we apologize. It's because of this, and that time, whatever."
Hmm.
And if they would have told me that, I would have been, yeah, cool. Thanks for telling me and being honest with me. I wouldn't have even cared. But they didn't even say anything. They just nope, no interview, and then nothing about it. So
Okay, well, that's
yeah,
disappointing. But has your
yeah.
management spoken to the UFC? I mean, they have to be happy with how you performed. It was a good fight. Fans were entertained. Like it really went sort of perfect, other than maybe getting a finish, but it was still a dominant victory.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything back. I think usually they have meetings probably today.
Yeah.
I think they have meeting later today, so maybe I'll hear back about it later on. But as far as right now, I haven't heard anything about it.
What's been the fan feedback like this time compared to the Aldo fight? It must be like, it's so funny. I'm sure there's all these people now who are like, oh yeah, like, but meanwhile they could have been the same. Yeah, you should have kept the old DMs and see the ones who are like, you suck. And then it's like, hey, thanks for getting me to win money.
Yeah, no, there was only one. I only read one where this guy was like, "Hey, congratulations, man, that was a great fight." And I clicked on it, and then I went back to our messages, and he was one of the guys that was talking crap about the Aldo one. And
New fans, man, they're
so,
the worst. They're the worst. So
yeah, but it's been cool. Like I've been seeing comments like, "Oh, I sincerely apologize, Mario. I'm sorry, Mario.
yeah.
Forgive me, this and that." And then some of them like, "I still don't forgive you, but that was a great fight," you know.
Yeah. Well, what's
So
been funny is if you look at that clip we had from our last interview, it was up on Home of Fight, and you look through the comments, there's all these people being like, Patchy's going to destroy him, and now all these other fans have come in and kind of talk shit on them. It's been pretty funny to see if you go back and look at that post from a couple weeks ago, but all these people are convinced that Patchy was going to finish you, and it didn't happen. So get a little satisfaction out of that,
yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's awesome to see the fans. I kind of split them up there a little bit. They're all against me, but now I split them up, and now they're kind of fighting amongst each other. So
Yeah.
it's funny to see.
When do you want to get back in there? Ideal timing. I mean, again, you're a dad. I know school's finishing up for your young one. Is the plan to enjoy a bit of summer and then come back in the fall or winter, or what's the plan for your next fight?
Yeah, enjoy a little bit of the summertime off. I was pretty happy with it, with timing wise, because now, yeah, my daughter's out of school, so we can just do a bunch of fun things. Um, but yeah, definitely want to get back in before the end of the year. Definitely don't want to wait as long as I did this last time. So hopefully we get something here pretty soon, and just keep the ball rolling.
Now, if the UFC came to you and said, "Who do you want to fight next?" Who would you choose? Because there's a couple names out there. Song Yadong's out there. You got Umar. What name interests you the most? I know I want to clarify this by saying you're not calling anyone out. The title of this video is not going to say Mario Bautista calls out whoever. But I'm just curious, what fight interests you?
I definitely want a top five fight or
Yeah,
something really close. I like that Umar fight. I like Figgy if his knee turns out to be all right by the end of the year. I like that Figgy one. Um, but ideally, yeah, just someone in the top five that can get me closer to that title shot. Like I said, like with a win over Umar, I'm 100% right there. There's no denying me at that point.
yeah,
So I need a fight like that.
yeah. So let's say you did fight Umar. Your style against his. How do you look at that fight stylistically?
I like it. I think Merab kind of gave a good blueprint to that. You got to have good cardio, and just keep pushing the pace on him and win moments. So um, I would love that fight. I think I have great striking, great grappling, and a lot would be tested on my behalf for that fight, and it is just exciting to me. So I would love to get that fight and kind of break Umar.
Yeah, and how crazy is it that Dana hinted maybe Umar's getting the next rematch? Like, what planet are we living on here where a guy loses a fight, doesn't even have a title, and he might get a title shot again? That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's getting a little weird. Sanhagen's probably going to fight for the
He
title, and then
should.
there's
Yeah,
talk about
I
Umar.
think that's the right fight, right? Just because fresh matchup, right? And also Sanhagen, he's been up there before, right? So
Yeah, and then I think the rankings came out this morning, and then Umar somehow moves up, I think two,
over Yarn, I
and
saw that. Yeah, that's crazy.
yeah, and then I just move up one spot,
Yeah,
which is crazy,
yeah,
even though I'm on an 8 fight win streak. 8 fight win streak. That's the longest, third longest win streak in the history of the
that's
UFC
right. Yeah,
bantamweight division, and then second as far as being active with the only guy that's ahead of me is Merab.
yeah.
And I'm over here sitting at number 9, and everyone else in front of me is maybe on 2 fight win streaks or maybe just lost and whatnot. So it's a little weird. I guess winning fights just doesn't really get you to the top.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go in. Not a lot of it doesn't make sense. I mean, they're talking about maybe doing Volk and Yair next, which I don't think makes any sense. They've already fought, and Yair's I think 1-1 since that. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. And then the other thing I was going to ask you, obviously, I'm sure you saw the main event after your fight. I know your buddy, unfortunately, Sean O'Malley, not coming through. But what did you think of Merab's win in that spot in the main event?
He looked good. I was the whole time I was thinking, like, man, if you were to fight Merab, he's just gonna like keep coming. He might not hurt you, he might not submit you. But definitely my mind changed after that fight. So he's getting better, on top of his great cardio and his relentless pressure. And so he's adding submissions to it now. So that just makes it more exciting. So it was a good fight. Sad for Sean.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, what can you do?
Yeah. Well, it's one of those weird fights because I think Sean actually looked better, but I think Merab got better too. So it's like, it's a hard thing to gauge because I know people are going to talk now like, O'Malley's done. You know how fans are. Like you saw it yourself with the Aldo fight to this fight where people are so wishy-washy about certain things. But like, I thought Sean looked better. He looked fit. He looked great. It's just, I think Merab, we saw another level to him in that fight. And I don't, that's a really tough level to deal with.
Yeah, yeah, and definitely styles make fights, and maybe that's just like Sean's like Achilles heel.
Mm.
So we'll see. Hopefully Sean gets a good fight coming back, maybe like a striker, because Sean's always great at striking. So I think he hopefully he gets a fun fight next.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'll
and
tell
then
you the
we'll
fight
see
I
what
want because it was a fight that you tried to make too. Him and Cejudo. Let's do it. I know it's another wrestler, but again, if Sean goes out there and finishes Henry, he's right back in the good graces, right up at the top, I would think.
Yeah, no, that'd be a fun one, because Henry is a great wrestler, but he does not have the pressure and the relentlessness of like Merab. So I think it'd be great for Sean. And then with Sean coming off back-to-back camps of fighting Merab, I think he'd be well prepared for Henry, and hopefully he'd knock him out and kind of make everyone happy about that.
Yeah, we can use the Jakar Close video edit where it's like Henry didn't want to fight my friend Mario Bautista, but I'm going to get this one for you know what I mean. It's already built in. You got the pro wrestling storyline right there. What do you think?
Yeah, yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be a fun one.
Yeah, and by the way, that always bothered me that all those media outlets took Jakar's video. Like, give the man some credit here. He was a good filming on the fly, right, with you and Henry going toe to toe there. That was great.
Yeah, that was awesome. He whipped out that camera quick, and he got it. I think literally like a minute or two after that altercation, it was all over the place and everything. So props to Jakar for being a good filmer.
Quickly, what do you think, Pat? I know you're not the matchmaker, but Patchy, what just as a fan, who would you like to see him fight next? I thought maybe him fighting Cheeto. That's who you were supposed to fight. Might be a interesting fight there.
Yeah, the Cheeto one, or I don't know. I don't know if you want to push him back too far. Maybe give him someone in the top 15.
Mhm.
Um, we'll see. I know Ricky Simone.
They actually replaced him. I think they found a replacement this weekend for Ricky because he was supposed to fight Charles Jourdain. I think someone else stepped in.
Oh, that's right. So we'll see how this
but
fight
if Ricky
goes.
wins that fight, that could make sense too. You're exactly right. So
Yeah, I like that, because if Patchy fights another striker, it's just going to be the same thing that just happened to him. So
yeah.
hopefully they give him a better matchup, maybe like a wrestler or someone that's going to grab him, so we can kind of see what Patchy can do. But we'll see what they give him.
What's the latest with your contract? Was this part of a new contract? Are you signing a new one, or are you still in the old contract? What's going on there?
I think I'm on the second fight of my new contract.
Oh,
So
nice.
I think they renewed it for the Aldo one, and then I think I just so the second fight with Patchy. So usually they wait till like the third one, or
Yeah,
they
second
might
last
wait
one or
till the
whatever
fourth
to
one.
negotiate. That's fine. What do you got planned with your daughter? Are you guys doing anything cool for the summer? Camps, I got to say this as a fellow parent, and I think we have our kids around the same age. It's expensive. I got my kid in an ice hockey camp. I got him in a golf camp. Like, that's just for a week. And I feel like it's, I gotta get some extra bills going here because it's not cheap to put those kids in camp for the week as we're all working, obviously, too.
Yeah, no, definitely not cheap. She's in gymnastics right now, and she's just I've been progressing, so she's moving up in levels and stuff, and but each level is like, hey, now she has to be here for 2 hours, and it's this price, and like now she's at I think like a level 3, so she's there for 3 hours twice a week, which I don't even, honestly, I'm like, what do you guys even do for 3 hours?
Mhm.
But yeah, it's pretty expensive. So in between then though, um, you know, we want to go camping, kind of
Oh, nice.
see
We
more
camp too. It's
outdoors kind
great.
of thing. Yeah, so we're gonna have to go up north though, 'cause it's way too hot around here. So
Oh, yeah.
we'll have to go like 2 hour drive, and it's just beautiful up here in like the Flagstaff area, Sedona. So hopefully we can get up there and do something like that.
Now, tent camping or trailer camping? What type of camping are we talking about here?
Oh no, we don't do it often enough to do a camp tent or
Camp
camping.
trailer. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're gonna do it old school, a little tent, you know.
Yeah.
So we like that though.
Yeah.
It's fun. Just kind of get to be outdoors and do it old school style. So
Yeah, my kids
she
love it.
likes it.
Yeah, it's like we like up here where I live in Vancouver. Like the weather's pretty moderate. It does get hot up here, but it's not like what you guys have. I've been in that before. That's kind of too hot, but it's good to get the kids outdoors, especially nowadays with all the technology. We've gone over time. Mario, thank you so much for doing this. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media you want to mention, I'll give you the last word.
I just want to thank my team, my coaches for getting me to this fight, keeping my spirits high, my coach, Strong Crouch. I want to thank Iridium, the sports agency, and also thank you for doing this interview once again. We've been doing this for years now, so I appreciate you and the time you give me.